So the next feature that's had an upgrade and an additional process added to it is the process of hiding envelopes or envelope components and hiding fasteners and showing fasteners. Before, you would hide envelopes and the fasteners would hide as well. That's no longer the case. If you want to hide fasteners, you hide fasteners and it will just hide fasteners. If you want to hide envelopes, it'll just hide envelopes and not fasteners. Now, envelope components are used for spatial constraints in subassemblies such as connections. They're also used for driving sketches, for attaching all of our models onto. So we've come up with a way of being able to speed that up a little bit more, make it more reliable. Plus, we've also added a couple of extra tools under our tools menu to go with those, which is our change fastener to the envelope or excluded, which is these two. Now, what I mean by changing it from an envelope to only excluded from bill of materials and backwards and forth is because we use the fasteners as envelopes so that they don't show up in drawings if we don't need to see them, and we don't and we can hide them if we need to. And they unfortunately don't get collected in the clash detection process. So we needed a way of being able to convert them over into being excluded from bill of materials and not an envelope, because you can include your excluded bill of materials items into your clash detection. So for a quick toggle, we've actually set up two buttons here which allows us to switch backwards and forwards from an envelope component to an exclude from bill of materials component and back from an exclude from bill of materials component to an envelope. So if we just look at this, we've got lots of bolts in this project. They're all over the place. If I was to just simply click on the fastener, and I might zoom in a little bit more here, and convert it to be excluded from bill of materials, they will go grey and the green envelope colour will disappear. There are a lot of fasteners in this little project, so we just want to capture them all, and it does take a little bit of time to do that and switch them like it just did. So now you can see that this fastener is excluded from bill of materials by selecting a face on it and going to the component properties, and you now see that exclude from bill of materials is toggled on. We don't collect our fasteners in our bill of materials unless we change them to vendor items. So there's a good point. I've used that in the past on our projects. Any loose bolts are enveloped components. Any bolts that are welded or studs that are welded or nuts that are welded, I usually convert them to vendor items or save as a vendor item and take off the exclude from bill of materials tick. If I wanted to change them back, I just go and click, let's change them from excluded to an envelope. Now, the reason that we want to do this is because if you've put in a connection and the connection has failed, and it will sometimes fail, it won't punch the holes. Yet, because the bolt is in the road, you can't see that the holes aren't there. So the best thing for you to do is either inspect them one by one to make sure that your holes are there by hiding all of your fasteners, or you can convert them to your bill of materials, excluded from your bill of materials, and then run a clash detection which will tell you that the bolt is actually not running through a hole and hit a face. So there are two ways or two methods of being able to determine that, and I find that the easiest way is obviously to do the clash detection rather than doing a manual check of every hole and bolt. So once we've converted them and we've done a clash detection and everything's working fine, we then convert them back to envelopes so that our reporting can collect them. If you don't convert them back, the reports will not collect them. Okay, now they're back to envelopes.